Yo, what up? It's Donut, and you tuning in to all yo Illuminati news. Happy New Year 2026 is here, and we're about to enter the fire horse. Lots of predictive programming, symbols, and rituals are happening on the world stage. A tragic Alp fire just took place right before the year of the fire horse. We're going to get into the 111 code, how this is all connected to the bridge ritual, Stranger Things being released on New Year's, the hyperstition of these occult films, what's going to come. I'm going to do some shot calling because I want to be a baller shot caller. That's what we do on the channel, as we did forecast things to go down last year with Venezuela. The month before the new year started, it's all in the predictive programming on the symbols. We got that correct. About a week ago, I said Kim Jong-un, Rocket Man's gonna make a comeback. And then the next day, his nuclear submarine of doom was in the news, and we're gonna tie that into coming for 2026, which I think is gonna be a good year. Even though there's gonna be a lot of chaos. They're showing us just tons of chaos in The Economist magazine, and if you want to really get wicked smart, you gotta be focused and not in the mess of the chaos on social engineering media. And if you want to get wiki smart this year, make sure to become a member. Click the link down below for the new year. Stranger Things was released with 42 episodes. Significant esoterically, we even see this as the meaning of life in The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. Chapter 7 is about the bridge. And this is all connected to the bridge rituals that are connected to the 128 code. They're showing the bridges, goodbye 2025 with the bridge. Upcoming Super Bowl, the biggest BlackRock, Vanguard ritual, PepsiCo now, Apple, doing these big rituals that are fertility rites to Ishtar. But we're looking out for the San Francisco Bridge connected to 128 for the forecasting. San Francisco is nothing more than just the military-industrial complex of Silicon Valley. As you see the bridge here for the Super Bowl, here's the bridge, the New Year's bridge, and the Stranger Things. And it was about the bridge. Even the New Year's event, it showed the confetti looking just like Stranger Things in the underworld. The Washington Monument, which was created way after Washington died, which resembles a phallic, was showing sperm going up the phallic, but they were also showing the countdown to the new year with the Stranger Things color coding. And there's this tragedy that happened in the Alps. Now, if you're new to the channel, hit that like and subscribe button and share the video out. We brought the Mountain Dew predictive programming here first. The priming of Code Red, which is now mainstream. I mean, people are making tons of money off of what we've been researching here on this channel, but nobody will give us a shout out. I believe that this predictive programming even goes into the Poppy drink. Poppy, they have their Super Bowl commercials. This is a big brand, and they have Alpine Blast. Now, there was this tragedy that happened on New Year's where people were bathed in fire. Tons of people passed away. Very sad. Was this predictive programming just like the Mountain Dew conspiracy? I think so, and I don't think it's much of a stretch. It's owned by the same company. Mountain Dew and Poppy is the exact same company owned by who would rule these Super Bowls. The PepsiCo Corporation. It all is under one umbrella. The trends that I'm forecasting and seeing with the predictive programming on The Economist cover, the 250 birthday for the new year, it's all chaotic. They got all these different Ozempic pills, which I think goes into the Neuralink and technocracy takeover. We just released the first edition to the new documentary on the Patreon that's covering this global technocracy takeover. Highly recommended. Get wicked smart. I'll play a clip of it.
My vision is that every American is wearing a wearable within 4 years.
It goes into energy credits. We're covering the wicked smart city, laying the foundation of what is being built with the AI and all that. And you're not going to get the good AI. I'm not going to get the good AI. We're going to get the whack AI that you can't do anything with. people will be utilizing this AI, getting the same kind of answers and information, and it's going to omit a lot of information. So it's very important to read the books, and that's what we do over on the Patreon. But I'm looking out for this Golden Gate Bridge and torpedoes for the new year. That's what I'm forecasting. The Japanese Navy tried to destroy the Golden Gate Bridge with torpedoes. Torpedo nuts. Now, we said Kim Jong-un Rocket Man is going to be in the news for 2026, and the next day he was in the news. He hasn't been in the news for years. His sub of doom, which has these torpedo capabilities, is in the news. So I feel like there's predictive programming, and there is a connection to The Interview, the movie about him, and these rituals on the world stage. When we see shows like Stranger Things or this new Disclosure film coming out, there's a correlation that's taken place with this hyperstition priming of a hypnosis to accept your fate. Priming was Disclosure Day commercial was released. It had a big poster on Times Square with the Sanpaku Eye, which we brought that information pretty much first here as well, talking about it, just like the dolphins. And now everyone's talking about dolphins and Sanpaku Eyes. Where do you think they're getting that, excitement? Because what I do, and if you got some New Year's goals, if you want to be a content creator, or this applies to anything, is the vocation, the passion, the excitement. And that's what I do here on the channel, is I cover what I'm excited about, passionate about, looking into, not really following the crowd. But you don't want to be part of the crowd. If you're getting lots of views and lots of likes and all that, and you're part of the ratio, that's a sign that maybe you need to step back, because the crowd psychology, the ideology of them is very socialistic, and they want to return to the womb, being safe within the crowd. They're going back into the cave to feel safe. But here's Disclosure Day. In the background of it, very subliminally, it talks about North Korea right there. The rebel sees the nuke. That's why North Korea nuke. That's why I think that's going to be more in the story. But not just North Korea, just being in the algorithms subconsciously, getting us warmed up for it. But Netflix shows like The Flood is a South Korean film. The South Koreans really be crushing it in filmmaking. I don't think that's a coincidence. So Stranger Things has 42 episodes. They chose that because there's an esoteric meaning to the show. It's about portals. And when you start learning about portals and what Crowley was doing to summon Ayahuasca and see Lam and whatnot, there's a connection to same-sex attracted sex magic rituals, just like we see at the Super Bowl. Crowley and these people would get pounded in the booty. These are called butthole rituals. That's why I call them. I call them butthole rituals. Stranger Things is a butthole ritual. They go into some sort of trance and then they summon the creature. And I think that's what Stranger Things is about, with the coming out party and even the weird tentacle imagery, very much like the tentacle naughty videos that are online. But this number 42, it has a big meaning, and I think it's connected to the 6-7. Even when you go to Google, write 6-7, it will frickin' wobble. The importance of 42, 7 times 6, the 6-7 equals 42. And that doesn't mean that numbers are bad or symbols are bad. It's just that there is deeper meanings to what we see. So there's two stories being told on the world stage. The story for the initiates and the stories for the plebes. So we're breaking through the matrix, following the symbolism. You can follow the money, which a lot of people do, but money doesn't really matter to the top elites, because they could first off print money to infinity. The big thing is that they have the might of the force of the military. So that is better currency than any other type of currency, even going back to the caveman days, who had the club was ruling. And it's New Year's, so happy New Year's. I was watching a video and it showed the percentage of what people's goals are for the New Year's, and only 1% of the population cares about love in relationships, which is very telling of this, societal collapse that we live in. And the highest ranking one was all about diet and how your appearance is and the looks. Very narcissistic. It probably has nothing to do with health and feeling good and having vitality and enthusiasm, the bioenergy for life. It's more so about the narcissistic will to power, the psychopathy system that rules everything. This is very much shown in our documentary that we did on the rise of fascism and the sex recession, as there's no more procreation happening in a lot of countries. I think that this year is going to be connected to the 111 rituals, another code that I'm seeing pop up decoding what's going on the world stage. Billie Eilish equals 111 in Gematria, and one of my forecasts is that she'll be at the Super Bowl. I also think that Zac Brown Band might be there as well, or even Drake. Right? Because you had Kendrick Lamar last time, then you'll have Drake, this, black and white checkerboard kind of duality. Just like Stranger Things had checkerboards everywhere. Stranger Things was all about these portal rituals, but the symbols were crazy. You had the checkerboards, and it's all connected to time rituals, because that's what Christmas is all about. Saturnalia, Saturn, the Grim Reaper. Stranger Things, Vecna, you always hear the clock, or you see the grandfather clock, just like if you're in Skull and Bones, I believe you get gifted a grandfather clock. And now people are going to be gifted their wearables for the smart city. It's all feeding AI biometrics to the system to predict real world situations. But this 111, I think, is important because it's connected to this fire that happened. Poppy soda equals 111. Alpine Blast equals 111. Swiss Ski Resort has the 322 in it. Billie Eilish equals 111. Burnt Hair equals 111. Elon Musk released his burnt hair on 111. October 11th, you always remove the 0. Other things that equal 111 maybe to look out for: Newcastle, New Mexico, Newport, New York, Venezuela. As we're entering the Fire Horse, and the Fire Horse, there are many fires in the year of the Fire Horse, so it's kind of weird how this tragic event happened. And here is the Washington Monument showing the sperm going up the phallic, and then the Washington Dome is the Oval Office. It's all sex magic rituals. And this was showing right before the New Year's. Upside down, the confetti looked just like Stranger Things, which was just released while this was going on. People kissing too. I'm not going to get too much into it, but it's connected to Stranger Things. And this was interesting. The flame seems like it's being burnt out. It's interesting that they're showing this, but it looks like it's about to be blown out. What kind of symbols going on there? But doesn't that look like the underworld in Stranger Things with the confetti? I believe there is a correlation to that. Even these 2 balls that dropped, they had the 2 balls dropping, which I believe goes into the winter solstice symbolism. It's sort of Freemasonic. We have entered the death season, the winter, the dark winter, the darkness, winter, and death down here on the zodiac wheel. And these are how these rituals go down. And you can see here's the Royal Arch. The White House is building a new ark, and I'll show you that. But here's the winter solstice, the death coffin. But this is what's important. Look at this pillar right here. You see how it's a pillar with a ball on the top of it? That's the same monument they have in Stranger Things to all the deceased in the show. It was all over New Year's Eve as well, with the ball dropping. And even the Happy New Year, it was a Jesuit creation. The whole calendar changed because other cultures use the lunar calendar. So the sub of doom, my forecast is we're going to see more of North Korea in the news. This movie, The Interview, how this is connected to film, This Is the End, was released on June 12th. That's when Kim Jong-un met with President Trump. This was released on Christmas, December 25th. The sub of doom when he came back in the news was on December 25th. So what I find interesting is the Knights Templar symbolism. You see the Red Cross controlling the Middle East conflict. Right here, you got the Knights Templar symbol for Switzerland horror in the Alps, so prayers out to everybody out there. News, Illuminati news, the CIA carried out drone strike on port facility in Venezuelan coast. There's a checkerboard floor, and you see there's 12 of them in the circle for his coming out party on the checkerboard floor, because that's symbolic for the 12 for the time, 12 during the day, and then you had the 12 kids. That goes all into time, 12 hours in a day, and this was released on 12/24. Vecna, who gets decapitated, and Vecna is Vance. It's just an anagram for Vance. So I wonder if it's connected to J.D. Vance in the technocracy. 11, L, means God or Saturn. But they named it Vecna after Jack Vance, who is this author. And the show is like very anti-capitalistic, anti-free markets. And then you even have the Hellfire Club, which is an actual secret society. They were all into like prostitution and stuff like that. Here's Vegas, drones, Stranger Things. So it's all in the symbolism. I was just looking at the New Year's. It looks like it was 33 degrees. I'm sure they're probably something there. They want to influence you to do nothing. Boredom is an online trend for young people trying to sharpen their attention spans. Boredom's good. You got to be able to get bored, because right after boredom comes creativity. You're going to really crush it in 2026 if you're able to be bored and to focus. So you see the chaos in the world with all these influencers distracting you and ruining your life and just putting out garbage 24/7. If you could just focus, read a book, get wicked smart, meditate, or do some sort of activity where you don't be consistently notified all the time, your IQ will go up, because the IQ has been dropping because of the notifications, and that gives people stress and fatigue. When in doubt, if there's some sort of fog going on here that's getting people foggy in their brain and fatigued in the brain, because a lot of people I've noticed don't have that enthusiasm for life right now. We're going to unlock the Ryan Seacrest right now. Behind them is the Fear Factory with Johnny Knoxville covered in bees. This goes into the Illuminati and the bee order as well, very symbolic. Fear Factory with Joe Rogan, who is now the most mainstream podcast out there, getting people addicted to mind-altering substances. Fear Factory also kind of brought in subconsciously the idea of you'll eat the bugs, because people were eating bugs. Trump says construction of the Triumphal Arch will begin in 2 months. We showed you how there's a hidden Peter Griffin. Suddenly, everyone is scared to dance at concerts and clubs. And no, it's not because of the death drive of people doing some tragic event like we see happen all the time. They're scared to dance because of narcissism. More young partygoers are worrying about looking goofy on camera, promoting some artists to wonder if social media is killing dance. That's because they care about what the crowd thinks of them, and they can't just let go and have a good time. This is very psychological. Arizona couple admits in court of faking the big C curing smart chip device. I even heard that Kim Kardashian, which all the different implants and all the different things like that is just getting you, mind controlling you into accepting the Neuralink eventually. And she failed the bar, and I think she's like gonna take the Neuralink now. I heard something like that. There's a super sickness spreading uncontrollably in New York, and then they pack New York and they film it. Neuralink plans high volume brain implant production by 2026, Musk says. So lots going on that you're not going to hear about. In Iran, they got the protest against the regime. A lot of influencers won't talk about this because they only stick to the talking points that they're paid to talk about. But I think that's very important to watch. The Truth About Affordability is the first issue of 2026 on The Economist magazine. Now this goes into the hyperinflation, which is a slow creep. So we're seeing silver prices up very, very high. Another forecast I have is that inflation is slow, but it's just going to get worse and worse because it's slow. And so we're seeing this with the different prices in the metal markets or whatnot, but the energy that we're entering into, people going to want to become like super wealthy and rich, quick schemes and all that. So we're going to see a lot of people lose a lot of money probably during the betting season. The gamblers, people promote gambling all the time, just total scum. People defend them if they have the same ideologies, but the gambling is terrible. The whole social media apparatus of being addicted to the dopamine likes of Facebook, Twitter, all the different social media is all there, created to keep you addicted through people who've studied the psychology through the casino industry. But people are going to, I think, lose a lot of money gambling this year as well, whether that's with different markets or even just betting. So we're going to see an amplification in my forecast of the betting, of the markets and all of that, the get rich quick schemes, and people are going to lose a lot. Anyway, I'll keep y'all posted. This is the first video of the new year. Happy frickin' New Year. Much love and God bless you.